today. We're starting a new Sunday series. I'm calling it Demystifying Unity, Why Unity Works. This is a very important class, or important series of lessons for you to be equipped to answer questions from people. What is unity? What do you guys teach, and so on. And my goal is to get through all the minutiae and all the intellectual stuff and go to the heart and prove with stories and the unity does work. Okay. We have a great event coming up. Okay. And Posse Palooza, for those that are not familiar with that term and apply it to unity, Posse Palooza, it's our friend Richard McDeesey, which is one of Unity's greatest musicians. He organized this group of talented new thought musicians many years ago. I think they're going on 15 or 20 years. I've lost count. But he has his legacy. If anything, Richard's legacy is that he has put unity music and new thought music on the map. Before all the music that we could find for churches was traditional. And I mean this in the most respectful way. We look at the positive side of things. And a lot of the traditional music is not quite in agreement with that view. So, on March 3rd, that's a Saturday at 7 p.m., there's going to be a concert here. There's going to be not one, not two, but 3 new thought artists, including Richard McDeesey. Okay? Now, these artists, that's all they do for a living. They travel through the entire United States and sometimes outside of the United States, and they support themselves that way. In order for them to break even, we need to sell 40 of these tickets at $20 each. Okay? If a couple that lives together buys 2, is $35. So the rest of you don't get creative and buy 2 at a time. Okay? And I told Richard that I had no doubt in my mind that we could sell 40 tickets or more. Of course, the 40 tickets is just for them to break even, to cover their expenses. And all of them have to fly here, most of them. And they do expect to make a little money by selling their CDs. Okay? So I told Richard again that I had no doubt that this church could sell not only 40, but my goal would be to fill this sanctuary that's comfortably sits 60 people and even more. Okay, we have chairs for about 80. So Norma has the tickets, right? Norma, please stand up so people know who you are. And I look forward to, and there's some flyers also that Helen made for us. So Posse Palooza concert, and March 3rd, 7 p.m. And those, as a matter of fact, there's people in Facebook, I put on my page a flyer that tells you how to get tickets on the internet, all right? But this is a one-of-a-kind event, and it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen very often. I also encourage you to Google these musicians, or go to YouTube and search for Freebo, Harold Payne, and Richard McDeesey, so you'll hear what I'm talking about. You will be inspired. You will be entertained. And the very next day, Sunday, Richard McDeesey will be the guest speaker and the guest musician here as well. Okay? So that's that. The next slide, Helen, please. We're quickly going to move to, we're always looking for ushers and greeters once a month. We continue to support the Hope Foundation. And next, we're going to skip the beautiful moment in the interest of time. And we don't for whatever reason in that PowerPoint there was not a connection card slide. And everybody got a connection card today? Okay. Just particularly the person that is with us for the very first time, by the way, we welcome. Thank you for being here. Just tell us a little bit about yourself so we can see any particular way that we can serve you. All right? God bless. And again, those that are here for the very first time or have not been here for a while, thank you for allowing us to spend some time on honoring Moira. By the way, I have no information as far as arrangements is concerned. I will be in contact with the family this afternoon, but one way or the other, I feel that our church family needs to process, and one way or the other, we will have a celebration of life, down the line. Okay, so let's get together. Let us get ready for our meditation. By the way, Alinda is not here today. She's just resting and healing. And Angie is stepping into service and is going to help us out with the meditation.
Today, we are talking about being one with God. We are talking about connecting with the knowledge that there is only one presence and one power. So as you settle into your seats and become aware of your breath, think about what that means for you. It's ironic that as individuals we have to come up with our own concepts of what it means to be connected. Every one of us. And I think that it's so perfect that we're talking about this today, because when we're grieving, it's so important that we remember that we're not alone. That we don't end at the boundaries of our skin, but rather we are fundamentally and completely connected to each other at all moments and all times. even when a loved one, such as our beloved friend, shifts from a physical existence to a purely spiritual one, we are still connected. If we choose to remember. And when we're feeling loss, even those of us who perhaps did not know Moira well, or even at all, we all know what it is to grieve. We all know what it is to feel sorrow. We all know the importance of leaning in to one another. Of being powerfully and fundamentally aware that we are always connected to each other, which is the same thing as being connected to Source. As you breathe, as you feel your heart beating, reflect on what that means for you. That if we are connected to Source as we grieve, what does that look like? How may we not only be uplifted by that, but also how may we be of service to others who are also grieving in their own ways and for their own reasons? May we use loss and sadness as a springboard to bring us closer to each other and to Spirit. As we share together a few moments of silence, take some low, deep breaths into your belly. Feel the energy that we all share together in this room and beyond, all over the globe and the universe. You're all part of the same stardust. Lean into that vibration and that connection. In this moment, we are grateful. We are grateful for each other. We are grateful for this community that is so bound by love. We are grateful for our sorrow because it means that we care very deeply for one another. we are grateful for the reminder that life does end, and so it is precious. And we must remember that. Thank you, God, for the reminder that we should lean in towards each other in all moments, joy and sorrow alike. And may we carry this sense of connection and of love and of oneness throughout our day, so that all we meet and interact with, they too get a sense from us that we are all together, we are one, we are love. Thank you, God. You are the face of God.
The face of God.
I hold you in my heart.
I hold you in my heart.
You are a part of me.
You are a part of me.
You are the face of God.
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 You are a part of me.
You are the part of me.
You are my family.
You are my family.
You are the face of God.
Face of God. I was talking to Jim this morning. By the way, I'm thanking Jim for stepping into service. Paul is a little under the weather this morning. But I was actually I'm gonna play now. Yes, you're gonna sing. I just need to. And Jim was telling me how he learned to swim. And he learned to swim where somebody. Okay. This is the second time that Angie surprises me, because once was at Unity Village playing meditation music. She had never done it. And today she said, Coco, can I help with the meditation? And I'm going to tell you something. I spent 5 years at Unity Village, where I was a musician for the ministerial classes. Okay, so 60 ministers times 5 years, that's 300 ministers. The average minister takes probably 5, 6, 7 months to do a meditation without notes. They all panic. They all panic and they have to write it first. I did at the beginning. Alinda did at the beginning. But no, she shows up and then she does one of the most beautiful meditations that I have heard. Thank you. So now chit chats. Would you mute this mic, please? Thank you. Here's another one that is swimming also back here. So no training in this system whatsoever.
it God, call it Spirit, call it Jesus, call it Lord. Call it Buddha, Bala, angels' wings, or heaven's doors. But whatever name you give it, it's all one power, can't you see? It's the power of love in you and me. One power, one power, one power. We speak so many languages, have different clothing, different colors, different names. The difference is only dangerous when we forget that in the heart we're all the same. We'll remember once we close our eyes to see that such distances were never meant to be. Call it God, call it Spirit, call it Jesus, call it Lord, call it Buddha, Baha'u'llah, Hashem, or heaven's door. It's Muhammad, it's your mind, it's your soul, or it's your sign. It's the universe, it's music, Mother Earth, or Father Time. But whatever name you give it, it's all one power, can't you see? Whatever name you give it, it's the very air we breathe. It's the power of love in you and me. One power, one power, one power, one power, one power. It's the moment of creation. It's an everlasting peace. It's the freedom of forgiveness. It's the sweetness of release. It's the joy of inspiration. It's the sunshine on your face. It's the birthright of all nations. It's the boundlessness of grace. It's the beauty of the baby, the serenity of sea. It's the anger we abandon, for it's love that's most deep. It's one power, what we are is one power. It's the power of love that lives forever in you and me. It's the power of love in you and
That is probably Daniel Naymat's signature song. And he's such a blessing to the universe. So Daniel Naymat, look him up. Purchase his music. This thing is not staying supposed to. All right. I like for us to say this prayer together. Together? I am now in the presence of pure being and immersed in the Holy Spirit of life, love, and wisdom. I acknowledge thy presence and power, O blessed Spirit. In thy divine wisdom, now erase my mortal limitations, and from thy pure substance of love, bring into manifestation my world, according to thy perfect law. This prayer was penned by and used every day by our co-founder, Charles Fillmore. For many years, Unity services began that way. And it carries an acknowledgement of God's attributes of life, of love, and of wisdom. And at the same time, invites God's activity, bless you, to work through us. There's a very famous quote by Thoreau that I have quoted here over and over. So I'm not going to quote that quote, but it's the one that begins with that if a man advances confidently in the direction of his dreams, you all have heard it. But today, I like to focus on something that is following the quote or towards the end of the quote. This is from his book Walden, and it's this. It says, if until now you have built castles in the air, your work needs not to be lost. And there is where they should be now. Go and put a foundation under them. All right. So what is this foundation? What is this foundation that Thoreau was talking about? And that is the subject of today's lesson. First, I would like to address and emphasize his emphasis on the fact that yes, in the air, let me go back to the quote, yes, in the air is where we need to build those dreams. And which means our goals and our visions. And what is that? What is this air? What is this air? Well, I believe that this air that Thoreau was talking about is the invisible substance that we quite often talk about here in Unity. Is the quantum physicists are calling it these days the ether. And perhaps we're talking about the confidence in what we hope for and the assurance about what we do not see that Paul speaks about in Scripture, which he does in his definition of faith. Other Bible quote version says about the certainty of the things hoped for. So let us remember that this word substance literally means the underlying foundation of everything. Remember that everything that is visible, one time, it was invisible and it was just an idea in somebody's mind. All right? And yes, that is where we need to, using our powers of imagination and our powers of visualizations, that's where we need to build our dreams. All right? But like any other construction, we need to lay a solid foundation. If we do not build over a solid base, anything that we construct will easily crumble under the power of a storm or an earthquake, if you know what I mean. Comes to mind many years ago, probably in the mid-80s, maybe. We used to make fun of Alinda's father because he had sold a big house that he had and bought a lot next to it, and supposedly to build a much smaller house for him and his wife to live their last days. And when he built this house, he built it himself. I mean, he directed the whole thing with just less than a high school education. The foundation that he put on that house, it looked like it was going to be a fortress of some sort. We made fun. How come you spending $25,000, $30,000 in the 1980s on just a foundation? Well, Maria just went through Puerto Rico, and a lot of the houses in the neighborhood are no longer there. And the house that Don Pepe built, still standing strong. Still, yeah. So I guess who's laughing now? Yeah. So, years ago, I had the opportunity to facilitate a 10-hour course about the healing and wholeness teachings of Charles and Murrah Fillmore. And it was a great opportunity. Sometimes you get into a rut and, doing this, and then you forget some of the core teachings on wholeness that unity has. So it was a great moment to reconnect with the foundational principles so that we're teaching unity, and also an opportunity to remember the kind of consciousness responsible for launching the unity movement, all right, in the 1800s. And today I submit to you that this foundation that Thoreau is talking about is about a conscious awareness. And you hear me say this and over because it's what it is. It's what it is. It doesn't matter how you slice it. All right? It's about a conscious awareness of the presence of God acting in us, acting through us, and acting around us all the time. All the time, regardless of any circumstances. All right? I was tempted to tell you that the foundation is prayer. But the word prayer is so much attached and associated with the actual practice of prayer and the actual ritual of prayer that I felt it would confuse the issue. The foundation is the awareness of the presence of God, whatever that presence looks like to you. Okay? If anything, we need to listen to Paul's invitation to pray without ceasing. Okay? But Paul is not talking about us counting beads, I should say. I'm sorry. I misspelled it here. Beads all the time. Or saying affirmations or saying repetitions or whatever. As a matter of fact, Jesus counseled against that. Do not say vain repetitions. That's the way the pagans do it. All right? But rather to maintain a prayerful attitude at all times. To observe a prayerful attitude. To observe. I think Angie addressed that beautifully in the meditation. To know that we are all connected. To know that we are connected not only to each other, of course, we are connected to Source. All right? I'm convinced that you downloaded that straight from the Holy Spirit. Okay? Yeah. So it has to be observed with our thoughts and our actions 24/7. Okay? And I think it's important to ponder the following, and I never heard anyone in unity. I never heard anyone in unity say this. Okay? So I might be going out on a limb. Ministers, if you are watching me, don't get me in trouble. Okay? So, we all know that Murrah Fillmore was given 6 months to live. Because according to the consciousness of the 1800s, all right, the mid-1800s, she was suffering from an incurable condition called consumption, which now we call tuberculosis, okay? The belief that she had inherited this disease because it ran in her family was also prevalent in those days, all right? So now, here we go. Coco's going out on a limb and might get in trouble with the unity establishment, and I don't care. All right. If you have heard a fairy tale that Murrah Fillmore was cured and healed overnight, nonsense. Okay? And that everything was hunky-dory overnight, don't believe one word of that fairy tale. I'm here to tell you, and this is confirmed by unity historians, that Murrah Fillmore had a disciplined prayer practice where she sat in the silence. Some people say that she would put an empty chair next to her and she would envision the image of Jesus Christ on that chair. And in that practice, she spoke words of truth to every organ of her body, starting with the top of her head to the tip of her toes. And she would also even ask forgiveness to her organs. Forgiveness for having thought of each one of them as less than perfect. All right? And she did this for at least a 2-year period when the actual total healing took place. All right? So, that's it. Don't get me in trouble. Right? Now, we all carry with us teachings from our parents or teachings from authority figures. You know that Myrtle, and according to her, Myrtle's mother believed in a punishing God. Okay? So Myrtle had to deprogram herself. She grew up with that. In How to Let God Help You. Excellent book by Myrtle Fillmore. If you haven't read it, I suggest you do. In How to Let God Help You, Myrtle wrote, when you truly drop thoughts of conditions and personal desires and personalities and center your attention in God and think God only, and give thanks that only God is expressing and manifesting everywhere in His universe, then you will speedily dissolve the old error beliefs and their counterparts in the manifest world. That is powerful. That is powerful. And that you will speedily dissolve the old error beliefs and their counterparts in the manifest world. Whoa. That's from How to Let God Help You. You know, in the study of truth or metaphysics, or the law of being with capital B, we learn, and Charles Fillmore agrees, that realization precedes manifestation. Realization precedes manifestation. This is not about taxation without representation. All right? This only begins with and ends with Asian. Sorry. Realization precedes manifestation. Wow. That sounds profound. That sounds profound and impressive. But it is not. It is not. It is simply true. And when we break down that statement, it will make sense to us. Realization is a state that is achieved. Listen to this. If anything that I want you to take home today is this realization, no pun intended. Okay? Realization is a state that is achieved in meditation, in which the conscious mind convinces the subconscious mind of the logic in whatever it is that we are affirming for ourselves. The conscious mind convinces the subconscious mind of the logic in whatever it is that we are affirming for ourselves. Remember, whatever it is. Remember, Jesus said, for God, all things are possible. He didn't say some things. All right? So when I hear sometimes, no, but the doctor said, right? Doctors say that pancreatic cancer is incurable. We have somebody that comes to this church occasionally that is proving different. Okay? Because she had a realization of total healing and total wholeness. I prefer the word wholeness because healing is a process. Wholeness is a state. Right? When you declare healing, you declare that this person might get well one of these days. So I suggest that you declare wholeness instead of healing. Remember, healing is a process. Wholeness is a state. Okay? God is working through us to bring, so basically, I should have a PowerPoint, but let me see if I get that. Sorry, I got a little convention. Okay, here we go. I said that I was going to break this down. So what we need to realize, the realization is about knowing that God is working through us to bring about whatever it is that we are looking for. Okay. Number two, that it is possible. first, that God is bringing about whatever we are asking. Number two, that it is possible. And you know what is number three? Because this is one where a lot of people fail. And if you fail on number three, the other two are not going to work. Number three is the total conviction that you deserve it. The total conviction that you are worthy. The total conviction that you deserve it. And number four is that it's already ours. That is already ours. In Romans, Paul says, do not conform, Romans 12, do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. When Paul tells us not to conform to the pattern of this world, we need to ask. We need to break these things down. We need to ask, what is it? What's Paul talking about? What is that pattern? What is that pattern? Elementary, my dear Watson. This pattern of the world is the notion that our bodies are flawed and subject to disease and corruption. Okay? This pattern says that we need to struggle and suffer in order to survive in this world. This pattern says that we need to be stuck with whatever cards were dealt to us at birth. And none of that is true. We all know about people that are born with untold limitations, yet they overcome, and not only they overcome and survive, they thrive. They become millionaires. They become people that help a lot of people. Philanthropist is the word I was looking for, and so on. All right? But be transformed by the renewing of your mind. When we renew our minds and thus are transformed, we cross that invisible boundary that Thoreau talks about in the beginning of his quote. Okay? They shall, when one endeavors to live according to the dreams, they shall cross an invisible boundary where the regular laws will not apply to them anymore. Okay? And they will enter to they will function with a license from a higher order of beings. Okay? I'm paraphrasing. In one of her healing letters, Myrtle Fillmore wrote that when we dissolve the belief out of our minds and in its place establish the realization of the one presence and power of good and exercise our faith in health as the one presence and power within us, we shall feel the conviction that we are the expression of the perfect health that God is. This powerful conviction of oneness, again, Angie talked about in the meditation, one with source, oneness with divine wholeness will become abiding and nothing can take it away from us. God is love, and his love has cast out of the mind and heart all fear. There's no room for doubts and fears because God, as love and health, reigns supreme in us. I think that Moira knew this. And being healed, listen to this, being healed has nothing to do with the physical form. It has to do with the evolvement of the soul. Okay? There are people that in their challenges have found forgiveness, have found ways to forgive. I have no clue that this is the case with Moira, right? But I know of a lot of people that it isn't a tragedy, it isn't a big challenge, that the families have come together and so on. So healing has nothing to do with the physical form. step by step. We dissolve the belief in error from our mind. That's called denial. We replace it with the realization of the one presence and power of good. And we exercise our faith in health as the one presence and power within us. It could be our faith in prosperity. It could be our faith in peace. It could be in whatever. You just fill in the blanks. Okay? And that's exercise our faith. And that's it says endeavor to live the life. That's a part of the quote from Thoreau. It says when a person moves in the direction of their dreams and endeavor to live the life he or she has imagined. Endeavor to live the life. So a lot of people call that fake it until you make it. Okay? But it's about the conviction. It's about the conviction of things not seen that Paul talks about in his definition of faith. It's about the certainty of things hoped for. Okay? To endeavor to live the life he or she has imagined. Next week, our talk is going to be exploring common ground on holy ground. And I can't wait to hear what I have to say about it. God bless you all. One of the Unity's favorites, we sing it here all the time. I am the radiant light of God. Let us stand and affirm that in song. And when I am the radiant light of God. I am. I am the radiant light of God. I am. The health of God, the strength of God, vitality, energy, will of God. I am the radiant light of God. I am. I am the radiant light of God. I am the wonderful love of God. I am. The peace of God, the joy of God, serenity, harmony, rhythm of God. I am the radiant light of God. I am. I am the wisdom and power of God. I am. I am the wisdom and power of God. I am. The light of God, the joy of God, prosperity, happiness, might of God. I am the wisdom and power of God. I am. The light of God, the joy of God, prosperity, happiness, might of God. I am the wisdom and power of God. I am. Let me take over here in a second, Helen. Please sit down. See what this song does? This song is affirming attributes of God. One of our attributes of God is life. All right, strength, vitality, energy, any good thing. That's what Paul talks about in Scripture. Any good things. That's what you're affirming. You're affirming life. You're affirming energy. You're affirming vitality. You're affirming love. You're affirming peace. You're affirming serenity, harmony, rhythm. The radiant life of God, the wisdom and power and light, prosperity, happiness, might of God. As we affirm prosperity, we come to that moment in which we share of our divine substance. As the ushers prepare, if we have ushers, but I shall declare, let there be ushers. And there were ushers. All right? I have to appoint somebody of our Facebook audience to do a collection in the virtual realm and just take it to the PayPal button on our website, unitychurch.com. All right. So, as we prepared, we give thanks. We give thanks in advance as we acknowledge God as the only source in the universe. And together we say, divine love in and through me now blesses and multiplies all the good that I have, all the good that I am giving, and all the good that I am receiving. I give and I receive in love. I send you forth to circulate, in the flow of unlimited, abundant, and boundless prosperity. Right.
God created us in His image and likeness with His own inner power. He created you and me. With this power, I can see where there's darkness. I can love where there's fear. A new world I can create. This power is for us to share. It's not only for me. The things that I do, you shall do. That's what Jesus told me. God created us in His image and likeness with His own inner power. He created you and me. It's the power within you. It's the power within all of us. It's the power within you and me. That mighty power of God. In His image and likeness. In His image and likeness. God created you. God created me. God created us in His image and likeness with His own inner power. He created you and me. In His image and likeness. In His image and likeness. God created you. God created me. God created us in His image and likeness with His own inner power. He created you and me.
Thank you, Angie. Thank you, Angie, for helping us declare that truth. And tell you what, swim. Swim and bless the offering. Thank you.
Thank you, God. I am so blessed today. So blessed. Thank you. We put out our hands to bless the offering as a kind of habit. Let it be a reminder as we put up our hands why we do that. What difference does it make if our hands are up or if they're in our laps or behind our heads? The point is that we are actively putting our bodies in a physical position to remind ourselves and all of us here that we are sharing and connecting with each other's power, with each other's blessings. In this case, our blessings in money. For me, when I stand up there, a lot of times you may see me do this. I put my hand on my throat because many times this is what I have to give. So as we put our hands out, let us remember that that's not just a movement that we do thoughtlessly, that there's a purpose. And so we send that energy out in gratitude for our ability to give, for our ability to share what we have, to keep and sustain this community that we love so much, that gives us so much more. And we are grateful. Thank you, thank you, thank you, God. Amen.
Angie, would you sign us off of Facebook, please?
I don't know what you usually see. Thank you for joining us online. I really am swimming today because that's the part that terrifies me more than anything else. I usually just pretend Facebook is not existing. But thank you all for joining us today and for spreading the virtual love. We'll see you next week.